council's consent agenda.
All right, anyone have any questions on anything on the consent agenda? All right, thank you. Next item.
Item 15, review of
Hey, wait.
Sherwood.
Mr. President, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It was just on one of the.
Speak into the mic for me, please.
Okay, well, just hold on. It's the one that, it deals with some money, and it started out at 25,000. It just didn't add up right.
What number are you referring to?
I'm looking for it. I'm sorry, I wasn't ready. You can just, I can come back to it if you like.
Oh, you were talking about the 5-year contract.
The 5-year contract one.
Number 3.
Number 3. Here it is right here. I turned it over.
Holy software.
It's number
Yeah.
3, and it says the total budget is $25,746. That's for a 1-year contract. If you flip to the back page, maybe I'm reading it wrong, it's $128,730 for a 5-year total. So is this something that's going to be brought up every year? Is it reoccurring? Is it going to be put in the budget? What is the, what's going on with that one? Because the number, I mean, it just didn't match.
Well, what you're asking is the 27,746 don't add up when you do a 5-year contract? Or I guess they're putting it in, this is what I'm reading, is 1 year is 27,746.
No, sir,
So
I'm reading
thinking
it's
if we do a
20,
5-year
right.
contract, there's a discount.
What number you on?
Well, I am on
Still
number
3.
3. If you will look at number 3, it's 27,746. On the contract, it states 25,746. If
Oh,
you
you're
go
not
and
right.
look at the back of the contract, it is correct, and it says 128,730. So we've got a discrepancy there. Which one is it? And is it going to be a rotating contract for every year? Is it going to be put in their budget? Are we going to see this every year? Because it's a total of $128,000, $128,730. It's for the police software.
At the end of the contract and the terms and conditions,
Yes.
it states that the customer shall be permitted to cancel without penalty at the end of each fiscal period if its governing body elects not to include in the budget an appropriation for the contractual payments coming due in the next fiscal period.
Okay, so what's the price though? I mean, are we doing 25, 27?
It should be 25,
It's be 25, look at
Yeah,
pay 25, get
so they
discount.
just need to update the
It just
amount.
needs to
So
be
amend the
updated.
amount.
It
Discount.
just needs to be updated and made correct.
So we just, during the council meeting, need to make an amendment for the correct amount.
Say that again, Ms. Johnson.
In the council meeting, we just need to amend it from the 27,000 to 25,000 to the correct amount that's in the contract, 25,746. Yeah, on our agenda,
It's
it
right-
says
right.
27.
Okay, all
We
right.
just
good.
need to get the
All
figures
right, got you,
correct.
got you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson.
You're welcome.
All right, any other question? All right, Ms. Blaylock.
Item 15, review of Sherwood Apartments at 4921 Hatton Avenue.
Ms. Riley.
Mr. President, they should be here at 5 o'clock.
All right, Ms. Riley, talk about this, want to talk about this. We doing a review. I know these was on the agenda, but I want to put these in committee.
Correct.
Because they're going to come before the council. We're not going to have a solution, so I want to put those in the committee and come back and you guys can recommend
Okay.
the solution. So we'll do that in the regular council meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
16,
welcome.
the same thing. That's also a
Yes, sir.
review of an apartment.
Josh,
Mr. Chairman, 16 is the same thing as Rosa Parks, a place
ma'am.
apartment, same thing.
Yes.
Item 17, ordinance rezoning 1678 Oak Street from a B2 to an R60A district.
Ms. Riley?
I think they'll be here at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Also, zoning has some things they want to bring up on it as well.
All right, good deal.
Item 18 is ordinance rezoning 20 acres on the south side of Selma Highway, west of Felder Road, from an Ag 1 and an M1 district to an M1 district.
Is zoning here?
No, they're not here.
There she go. Good evening.
Good evening.
Is this the one we're gonna pull?
This will be
Okay.
delayed.
Ms. Blaylock and Mr. President, this one will be delayed. Ms. Natasha has had a conversation with them, and we're pulling it off the agenda.
Okay, you've got to table it indefinitely, is
Okay.
that what you want to do?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you'll have to do it in a regular meeting, but that's,
Yes, ma'am, regular meeting, we'll table it.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, item 19, resolution establishing a policy governing employment-based immigration sponsorship by the city.
All right, any questions on 19?
Mr. President, I do. What exactly does that mean?
I think we carried that over from the last 2 weeks, and that's the policy where we was going, I think we have a couple of them in Mr. Tate's office and the mayor's office that we was gonna be paying for the,
Yeah, let Mr. Tate kind of, he explained it to me, and it's a
Mr.
good, it's a
Tippett,
good
Mr.
program.
Tate.
It's a real good program.
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah, it's.
We've been
it's-
off 3
it's a
weeks,
good
I
deal,
forgot it.
legit.
you good?
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry for making you take those steps. Mr. Grimes
That's
say
good
it's fine.
exercise.
Grimes is fine. Thank you. Item, next item.
Okay, Mr. President, right now, there was one old business item that I left off of
Okay.
the agenda. The president has one that he can pass out to you. It's resolution to reobligate funds in the Small Business Support Program from the Montgomery Thrive Initiative.
All right, this is one that we carried over.
It was carried over, and I failed to get it on the agenda, yes,
It's
sir.
on, it's separate.
Yeah,
It's-
I got it right here, I'm gonna pass it out.
It should have been on the agenda, but I failed to get it on
Okay,
there.
yeah.
Mr. Zamansky brought it to my attention.
Yeah, this is the thing with
Is that money coming from Hope?
Coming from
Hope
Hope.
City?
coming from Hope to the city for the small business. Any questions? We need anyone to speak on this at this time? All right,
Item 20,
hold on. I got somebody talking to me.
ready now?
Are you about to read it, or,
Ma'am?
no? Okay, let me read it. What we doing? Can we read the obligated time savings? Because we have the authority to. Can we just hold the period of?
Get somebody to talk about it. I think the lady should do a presentation.
Well,
Okay. All right, so, hold on a second, I got something in the work session. All right, Mr. Robinson, Frank Robinson, if you come up, we're talking about the Small Business Initiative Program. I know you're on the work session to talk about that after we finish with that, but our council member have some questions on what we need to do with this.
Yes, is the presentation ready to come up? Thank you so much. Council, thank you so much for your time. We were able to recalibrate the Montgomery Small Business Program, changing the portion from Hope from a loan to a grant program. I want to step back, and I want to be able to introduce Robin Booth, who is with Booth Management Consulting, who's been working with us in the county and who helped us to reimagine the program. So I wanted to step aside and give her time to walk you through some of the changes. You received an email, but I want her to be able to talk to those, and then I'll take any questions afterwards.
Good afternoon, and first of all, thank you all for allowing me to speak to you all this afternoon about this
Thank you for coming, Ms. Booth.
ARPA Small Business Initiative. Our company is currently the compliance and monitoring oversight for Montgomery County, and in connection with that, we work with all of their ARPA funding. This particular program, the ARPA Small Business that we're talking about today, this program actually we've done probably about 22 cities and states across the country with ARPA funds. This is a program that has had demonstrated success because for small businesses, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them to get a grant, and not a loan, more debt, but grant, where they can use those funds to provide capital support, technical support, sustainability, and growth. We all know ARPA's one time. Prayerfully, we'll never see it in our generation again. But what it is a unique opportunity for small businesses. Could you go to the next slide? Thank you so much. So the way that we've structured this program, based on the remaining dollars, I think you all had the agreement was with Hope, is that we're projecting $2.2 million to go out to grants to small businesses. We'll talk about how the various grant programs, but there'll be eligibility. We'll look at risk assessments. One of the major issues are these funds have to be consistent with the guidelines established under the uniform guidance. So part of this too is making sure those funds are being used by small businesses that were economically impacted as a result of COVID. One of the things all of us have to keep in mind is these monies have to be spent by December 31st, 2026. So this program will not just allow for that money to inject into your small business communities, but we can also ensure that it'll meet that contracting deadline or that federal government deadline for monies having to be spent. You can go to the next slide, please. So this small business program is really reallocating the HOPE dollars. So we're taking it to the grant funds with them getting additional technical support, ongoing technical support, and then having quantifiable economic outcomes. That's the other thing. We want to see jobs. We want to see increase in revenues, which increase tax bases. So these funds are being injected with a purpose, not just to be able to say, we put these small business dollars out there. You can go to the next slide, please. So the programs, the next slide, please. So there's 5 programs that we're looking at. So what we set it up is 5 different programs under your small business programs. So your small businesses will be able to apply 1 business per owner. I need to say that, 1 business per owner. You won't have 1 owner with 5 businesses, you know, kind of monopolizing the dollars. For capital improvements, relocation assistance, small business incubator, payroll assistance, and rent assistance. Once again, the program is designed to comply with the uniform guidance. So any of the small businesses receiving these grants will have to comply with the rules. A big thing is that we have to verify that their expenditures were spent consistent with the small business guidelines and consistent with uniform regulations. So that would potentially be the 5 programs under your small business program. Next slide, please. Capital improvements, this is information you have in your packet, but this kind of lays out what the eligible uses are going to be. And part of the outreach, which we're working closely with, we would be working closely with SBOS, who would be kind of your boots on the ground, providing the ongoing technical assistance, the marketing, and the outreach to your small businesses. Next slide, please. So it's going to be first come, first served. It's going to be awards based on eligibility, meeting the criteria. One of the things that's important is they have to be ready to use the funds for their intended purposes. This will not be the time to start a capital project, but let's say that you've been working on getting funds to renovate or to upgrade, or you need a new POS system, or there's a piece of equipment. These are for projects that are really ready to go. That's kind of where we have to be. They'll be reviewed and evaluated. It'll be rolling awards. So it's kind of, if you're eligible, final decisions will be made by the city council, city and county joint, then at that point, it'll be a rolling award situation. Participating in a BMC-led application. So for us, we are a licensed CPA firm. We do a lot of federal government compliance work, have been for 28 plus years. And as I said, we've done this program across the country, from City of Las Vegas as a client to as north as the state of Maine. So we've done this program successfully and been able to launch it and roll it out in a timely manner. Next slide, please. So it'll be small business. We're not going to use the SBA's definitions because that's 26.5 million depending on what your NIAX code. So we want to be cognizant to hit those businesses in your communities. So we're talking about from 1 to 5 employees, less than $5 million annually, have to be in good standing, they have to be for profit. And one of the things we recommend is they have to remain in the city and the county after they start the business for at least a year. We don't want them to take your dollars and then leave the city and the county. So, and then of course they have to have no conflicts or relationships that are considered conflict of interest, and they'll be required to do at least 10 hours of SBOS technical assistance. Collectively, what we're trying to give them is capacity support. Yes, the immediate cash infusion, but also long-term sustainability for your businesses. Next slide, please. These are potentially, like, we're grouping them by how much we're going to recommend for each pool. So the award amounts and then the total amount of funding allocation that would be, and what we project to be the awards based on the grouping and the dollars available. Next slide, please. I won't go through all of this, but I just want you, I kind of want you to see that this has already been vetted out. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to make it up. we already kind of know what has worked. And we're doing it based on lessons learned and best practices that we've been able to identify from having done this multiple times. Next slide, please. This is the process. We'll be taking the applications and doing the verification and technical review. SBOS will be your boots on the ground, so your small businesses have someone they can go directly to get assistance as they're going through this process. We'll do the compliance and monitoring, make award recommendations, and then the city and county will ultimately have the final decision. Next slide, please. You can skip this slide. This slide is just talking about the type of entities. I'm being cognizant of everybody's
Mr.
time.
President.
This slide reiterates.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Ms. Johnson.
We need you to go through all of the slides, because although you work for the county and you did it for the county, the city council, Montgomery Thrive was the city council and the county.
Gotcha.
So we need the whole thing. please.
Okay, then, so what this talked about was we looked at the program structure, and so there's different, under the federal regulations, did you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We need you to go back to the slides that you skipped. So can you go back to the previous, go back.
This was the only
3
one,
slides.
I did all of them. This is the only one I.
It was the dates. Go back again. Right there.
Okay,
Right there,
the three-phase program?
Yes, ma'am.
So the first phase is application and screening. So that's when we're going through the eligibility criteria. That's when we're reviewing their documentation they support. We're gonna put them in risk categories. The higher the risk, the closer the monitoring we'll do as they're in this grant award program. We're gonna do risk scoring and then financial and operational capacity review. So this isn't, I always say, this isn't free money. They have to be in a situation where they're ready to do these projects and can financially, and can show the capacity to manage them. The second part has to do more so with the ongoing technical assistance with SBOS. That's the capacity building and business stabilization. Now that's if needed. Some of your small businesses we think are going to be more mature in the business life cycle, so they may have different needs. But for those that do need assistance with some capacity building and some long-term business planning or marketing, this is an opportunity for them to get that one-on-one assistance as well. And then the final phase is really the funding and deployment. So this deals with reimbursement of expenses. I do want to say that this program will be a reimbursement-based program. They will have to submit expenses. So when they give their initial budget, they'll have to give a budget. Their budget is going to have to be, they're going to have quotes and other narrative to support how they're going to use the fund. We want to evaluate upfront whether they can use these funds for this project and get it done in time. So that means if they have a capital improvement project, we're expecting to see quotes. We're expecting to see estimates. We're expecting to have detailed explanations on like if they're using an architect. So it's not just, this is what I hope to do. You've already put in some work, and so now this is your chance to get the financial support to get that done. So all of those things will happen before they get a dime. And then after they're in the program, what we recommend is a twofold kind of disbursement. You can do an advance with the reimbursement. So let's say they need that initial advance or initial advance on a capital project, and they need that $20,000 to pay to the construction. Okay, you get an advance for $20,000, but you gotta then show, this is the same contractor we already saw in your budget. So we already know that you were in agreement. Once you get that done, then at that point you have to submit actual expenditures based on really having spent the money, or have those expenditures before you get reimbursed for them. Any questions before I go to the next slide? Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Let me just, I just like to have a copy of all this so I can study it. You're going through a lot of speed there, and I'd like to be able to sit down with it and read it and see what we're doing, because this money, according to Arbor, I thought this money was supposed to replace losses during the COVID situation. But now we couldn't loan it to them that way. Now we're going to give it to them this way. So I want to see more about why are we going to give away money that was actually going to be loaned before.
So if I can take a minute to explain to you what ARPA rules are specific to this. And as I said, these have been programmed, these are national programs for ARPA funds. What ARPA says is that if you were negatively impacted during COVID, and I actually sent a memo to Frank, and he can share it to you all, where I actually cited the regulations from ARPA that shows why you can do this program. So what ARPA says is if you were negatively impacted during COVID, so let's say I had a job and I lost my job. It closed, I got laid off, or I got fired. My negative impact because of COVID was the loss of my job, but then I started a business.
And so I started the business as a direct impact of my negative impact. So I'll just be careful and say, you all received some initial guidance ARPA was a moving target initially, so it took a while through frequently asked questions, through them updating they updated every 3 months, it felt like, for some clarity to come. And then the clarity, I think you all had some initial advice that may have suggested that you had to be a small business during ARPA.
I want to be, one second.
Hold on, one at a time. Let's get Charlie question.
You done, Charlie? Yeah, just for clarity purposes, ma'am. For 18 months, this council, some of them are new, but we sat in meetings and we went through this and we created Montgomery Thrive with the county. You're on the county side, but it's the county and the city council. So we are aware, and those that aren't, if we could have had a meeting to sit down to understand that piece, because it wasn't a city department that decided on this. We had a whole list of things. The city council and the mayor and the county commission decided on what we wanted to do. Because at that point, we all were creating something because it was new from ARPA. So we are very clear on what ARPA is. Those that aren't, they may need to have a meeting to understand it and get that directive, but not like today and it's getting sped through. And we're getting talked to as if we didn't do this for 18. Matter of fact, it's going on well over 2 years that this has been ongoing. And the way that the program was built out, it was never supposed to be a loan. It was always supposed to be a grant to go into, as you stated, the economically impact businesses. I can tell you that for a fact because I advocated for that along with Councilor Mitchell and Charlie Jenwright. And we had opposing factors, so we advocated for our small businesses to get money. So we are very clear. I'm not understanding where your contract came in or how the bid happened or where the city came in, but we would love to know all of it. I know I'm not the only one with those type of questions because it's like we're being given a program that we wanted to create, and we're the city council and we'll be making a decision. So I don't like the fact that we're being directed instead of coming to the table. This county commission don't make no decisions on what we do.
All right, Mr. Robbins, you want to address her question?
Yeah, I want to address that. So, a couple of things have happened. So, wanted to make sure that one, we have been working, and so a lot of the information that was sent by email to you guys that we're explaining now are things that we've been talking about evolving. And so, Councilor, you're right in that sense, but the whole portion of that loan did not act as that way. When the decision was made before a lot of us, it didn't act in that capacity as a grant. And so right now, what we have the opportunity to do is to change that to make sure that this portion of the funding that was done as a loan can now act as a grant. We have been working with Booth probably for about 2 weeks because of the timing of this, because it's moving so quickly that in order to make sure that we take advantage of all the capital. But a lot of things that we have already sent, this is a lot of it that has been there while we're explaining to you. I'm sorry it seems so rushed, and I'm sorry that it is, but it's kind of, we just expanded a little bit, to be honest. I mean, a lot of it is kind of what we've been talking about, but just expanded it more so than just capital. So we can do a little bit more than we thought we could through some of the guidance that we found after having some conversations. But the time that Mrs. Booth's firm is doing is partly with the city because as you explained correctly, that's what we're doing. So I want to make sure that is clear. And if these slides haven't gotten to you, I'll make sure that these slides have gotten to you. But this is really a lot of things that we have sent over the last couple of weeks, just in expanded form.
Mr. President, I got a question.
Mr. Grimes?
All right, there's a couple of things
That's why they should have
you
went
had,
to the
and here it said reobligate $3 million, and you were talking about 2.2. So are we obligating 3 or 2.2?
So at the end, I showed the
Speaking to the mic for me.
So we were obligating 3 or 2.2?
3.
Okay. All right, that's one thing. Second thing, if somebody does a construction, because costs are just out of control right now, the trade industry, and they got a budget, and they were going to do $100,000, $200,000, and they're 20-30% over, what happens?
So that's a part of the assessment that has to be done initially, because it has to be a project that can fit into this program. Every project isn't meant to fit into this program. Unfortunately, this is a leg up. It won't, for those projects, it's not going to be 100%, to cover those projects. That's when you do, this is when you do things like this. Okay, how much is architect? Because the program can help you with architect, because we can get that done, we can get that spent, and we can get that. So that's the only part. We do that a lot with construction projects. We'll look at the phases or the areas that the program can help, because oftentimes you can't. And for these the ones that have been trying to have projects, active projects, this is unanticipated assistance. So they're really ready to go. That's why that's a big thing. This is not the time to start the project.
So you can help with the soft costs, but the hard costs like the trades and all that, if you come out today, and the reason I say that, I make commercial loans for a living, and just talking to a customer, he had his numbers together from 4 months ago, 5 months ago, now it's 20% higher.
Yes.
So it is a really, really dicey time to be building.
Exactly. Well, that's why the project selection is a big part of it, because it's not going to help. It's not a perfect fit for all. And let me apologize for going fast. I thought I had 7 minutes, so I was trying to talk as fast as
you got 2 more minutes. We got time for you. No, because I called you up to answer one question. I had your presentation in the work session.
Mr. President.
But we're trying to get through the agenda, so
Okay,
close
I
down
know.
about 2, and I can call you back up when we get to that part of public
Yes,
communication.
yes. Okay.
Mr. President, real quick, I just wanted a quick point of clarification though, because I think what we're trying to figure out here is who really is going to pass the eligibility test, who's going to put forth the effort for reaching out and trying to get these. So is it my understanding that generally speaking, the business would have had to have been formed in this kind of time period or immediately kind of whatever the general aftermath of the COVID pandemic? I mean, we're 6 years out from 2020 when this thing kind of hit. So if we have a business that was established here in the city of Montgomery, wants to expand and didn't get a business license until 2025, we'd probably generally agree that they probably wouldn't qualify, or that a new startup business today wouldn't generally qualify?
See, the rule says that if they had economic impact, it's what impacted as a result of COVID. Maybe it took me 5 years. I quit my job. Well, my job fired me. And it took me 5 years to get to the point. The rule is what the business has to usually been operating as a small business at the time of the application. COVID is still impacting a lot of people and a lot of businesses. So I think there was some confusion with the economic disaster loan, because that and the payroll protection loan, you had to be in business at the time of COVID. So there was some confusion and guidance given to you that applied to like small businesses. That's a different test.
Which is positive. So what we're saying then potentially is that a business investor who's got a small business in Birmingham could have said, the COVID pandemic was a reason why I did not expand to the city of Montgomery at that time. I'd like to come to Montgomery now and be a startup small business, and there may be a way to justify some of that incentive packaging for a business that has that kind of pathway.
And see, that's a case-by-case basis.
Sure.
Because as your tax dollars, we would be very cognizant of a business just jumping in to try to get on this ARPA grant.
Well, I imagine quick deployment's kind of important here. So
Yeah.
having an established business that at least can tap into that is one that.
All right, we got 2 more questions. We got to move on.
All right.
Mr. President, just real quick, I would like to see the original contract with Hope, because I want to see the original amount that was put into the bank, and I want to see what they're going to do with our interest that they had holding our money for a year and a half. If they're not going to abide by the contract, they need to return not only the money that we provide. I want our interest as well.
The money was never
Deposited?
It was never deposited.
Okay.
In Hope. It was held.
Okay, I
in
just
an
want to make
account
sure.
ready to go once they made those loans. So there's no interest.
Okay.
That's not an issue here.
And
Was it held at home?
We got one more
That's
question.
it.
I do.
We got Ms. Johnson, and we're moving on off
I
this.
got one question.
They're coming back.
You mean me?
Your time.
Yeah.
Ms. Riley, go ahead.
I got one question. My question is, has the mayor or anyone in his office reviewed this plan that we're looking at today? Have they looked over the plan as well? I'm just asking.
Yes, we reviewed it, and we can talk about that a little bit. But yes, we have.
All right, okay, thank you. We got you coming up in our public communication to answer any questions. But thank you, guys. All right, Ms. Blaylock.
Item 20, review of the business license of GFL Environmental at 2141 Hunter Loop Road.
Ms. Riley? We're in the council work session.
Item 20,
Yes, ma'am, thank you. They're supposed to be here at, 5 o'clock meeting.
21 is a review of business license of Capital Recycling, 1800 Mobile Highway.
They should be here at 5 also, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Riley.
Thank you, Mr.
22,
President.
review of James Brown doing business, and y'all can read it, I can't pronounce it, 4530 Troy Highway.
Regular work session. Regular meeting.
23, resolution approving business license, and it's the same establishment.
Regular meeting.
24, resolution approving business license for Suburban Studios, Montgomery East, 185 at 5115 Carmichael Road.
All right, council, that is the hotel that we suspended, closed the business license, revoked the business license. I had the chief go out and see how they comply to the things that we're asking them to do. The information that I got back from Chief Hall and Chief Grabos is that they're compliant. They will be here before the city council today, and I will let them know, hey, at the first sight of, you're going back into your old ways of operation, you're going to be revoked again. So I'll ask that you guys support me in lifting, authorizing the business license. Thank you, sir. All right, thank you. Next item.
Item 25, resolution appointing Gregory O. Griffin Jr. as part-time municipal judge.
All right, any questions on 25? All right,
I need him to be present.
okay. Give it over to you, President, if he's not. All right.
26, resolution authorizing termination of contract between the city and governmental services company doing business as Traffic Serve.
All right, any questions?
27, resolution authorizing execution of agreement for construction of Montgomery Riverfront Greenway Extension, Phase 2, Lafayette Street Extension.
Any questions on 27?
Where's that where is that at? Is it, it's where? $1 million to get the capital? And this goes with Shade Park? Okay. Huh? You can't hear me?
No, Glenn said you need someone to explain it to you. He said he's willing to do it. Go ahead.
He wants to go get a drink down there, though.
Hey, anyone want to talk? You need any explanation on 27, Mr. Jenright?
I'm okay with, I just wondered where it was going. That's
Right, over by Sable Steel, that stretch going back
straight
around.
coming back toward the city?
It's leaving the riverfront going back towards the Oyster Bar.
Mr. Tate, Mr. Tate.
Good evening, council. This is actually, I'm stepping in for Patrick Dunson. He's out sick. This is the actual extension of the trail up around EJI and on back, that would be going west from there. So that's what this is all about.
Okay, yeah, I know, we've been talking about that. That's the paving and all that stuff going back down by the Oyster Bar and all that area back there.
Well, it's not far as the Oyster Bar, that's east. This would be the sidewalk and extension going west of there.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Tate.
Y'all might want to make note that 11 and 27 are, one's phase 1 and the other one's phase 2. It's just coming from being paid by different funds. I think
All right,
this is ARPA funds, which requires
11 on the
27.
contract and then
Yeah.
20.
27 is ARPA funds, which requires a resolution.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Item 28, resolution directing mayor to execute a sanitary sewer easement to the Montgomery Water Works and Sewer Board for the purpose of installing and maintaining a sanitary sewer easement through Madison Park at 861 Old Wetumpka Highway.
All right,
Mr. President,
Ms. Beard.
we'll just do this during regular session. No questions.
All right, next item.
29, application for a conference center doing business as Epic Center Multiplex, 2477 East South Boulevard, Building A. They made application for a rental hall, but the square footage kicked them up to a conference center.
All right, we'll have that discussion in the regular meeting. We'll have a public communication at that time.
And 10 is a liquor license for this establishment, an application for a special retail more than 30 days for the Epic Center at 2477 East South Boulevard.
Okay, all right.
Item 31, application for retail beer and retail table wine owner off premises doing business as House of Alchemy, 1044 East Fairview Avenue, Suite C.
All right, any questions? All right, 31?
That was 31.
Yeah, we're good. Samaski, you good? All right, 32?
32, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only doing business as Y Pace Car, 4610 Mobile Highway.
Council Riley?
We good.
All right,
33, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only doing business as D&D the DCon. Mr. Zemeckis could probably say it better than me. 4444 Troy Highway.
what's the name of it again, Ms. Blaylock? All right, Mr. Mitchell?
I have no issue with it.
Should come in
All right, thank you.
Been a long time since college Spanish courses. Item 34, application for a restaurant retail liquor license doing business as Taquiera La Fadina, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
4448 Troy Highway.
Ms. Mitchell?
I have no issue with it.
All right,
Item 35 are your demolitions for the council to authorize.
all right.
Mr. President, I have a quick question for
Mr. Samaski?
Mr. Dean. If I think I saw Marcus here. Quick question about the demolitions. I might need to pull one out, but I couldn't quite tell based on some email traffic is the 666 Early Street.
No, we need to come down.
The property owner had reached out. I think he was talking to Adam, and I don't know. It seems like these last minute, kind of requests to hold up a demolition keep coming in, and I didn't know if you had any insight about whether or not you were advocating either way. I did see that there was an opportunity to have another meeting with the property owner this week, but I just didn't know if there was any more information about that specific one.
I think, Councilor Szymanski, you're right. The owner has reached out, and each time it was delayed after the fact in response to the demolition violation letter that he received. My recommendation is that the property should come down. That's not my decision. That's why it's on the list. However, he did reach out to us as recent as today, and we did advise him that the property will be coming before council. He was fine with that. He did indicate that he would follow up with us after the council meeting to see if there was any opportunities that he could come before council to appeal the decision in case it didn't go in his favor. To date, he has not provided us with a comprehensive intent to repair plan, so it's really nothing that to date that we can really make an informed decision around to maybe extend the time for him to rehab the space. So right now, it's on the list for demolition.
Okay, and Mr. President, if we pass the demolition list and then he wants to make an appeal, can he still appeal at that point, or do I need to pull this out and give him the opportunity to meet with Adam, as he says he's planning on doing on this Thursday? Or I just want to make sure procedurally we're doing the right thing, but I also don't want to hold them up if it just falls through like it seems to have fallen through multiple other times previously.
It's it right here. I think we can pass it, and if he come back and meet what Marcus is saying that he can do with a plan going forward, then I guess they can kind of grant him the plan.
Okay. Because I'm happy to pass it so that you can go ahead and knock it down. If Thursday doesn't happen, if there's no viability to whatever rehab plan they have for the piece of property, I don't know how they're even going to do it, then let's just move forward on that. But I just want to make sure procedurally I have that right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean.
Item 36, resolution assessing the cost of abatement of unsafe structures on various locations.
All right, any questions on 36 and 37 and 38? All right. Any other questions before we get in our public communication?
Do you want to discuss the two that you're going to present, or you want to wait till the meeting?
Oh, you're talking about my two, yeah, go ahead.
Resolution reappointing Tammy Knight Fleming to the Airport Authority, and a resolution reappointing Quentin Burke to the Board of Adjustment.
All right, any questions on those appointments? Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I understand the rules. In our public communications work session roster, Mr. Robinson, if you and Ms. Booth come back up, I think we had a couple more questions. I'm gonna guarantee 3 minutes at this time. You use 15 minutes in the first part. Hey, do you have capability of emailing that presentation to each council member? Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
thank
I'll
you.
go upstairs and email it right now.
All right, any questions?
I've got one quick question.
You told me that the last time.
Well, I know.
Go ahead, Mr. Ryan.
You mentioned it was business 1 to 5 employees. The chart said
1 to 50.
1 to 50? Okay, so it is 1 to 50.
Yes, 1 to 50.
That's it, CC.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Ms. Who said yes?
Marche, this
Ms.
time,
Johnson?
council. I would like for us to have a meeting with the council as a whole, just for, and I would love to see if the county commission would come on board so we can have this discussion, because it looks like they had a leg up on the discussion piece for how this build out looks, when we should have did that collectively and collaboratively.
I was gonna say, actually, to be candid with you, nobody had a leg up. What happened was, actually the county, we're doing the monitoring, so we noticed that the funds weren't being expended on this project. So we highlighted, and the city and the county already were on top of it, but for us, we're looking at December 31st. The spending trend was not in line. That raised the flag. So then discussions, Hope just pulled out. Y'all know that.
We know.
So it's almost like we came in to troubleshoot. We had to come up with a strategy that we knew would work. So these dollars would not have to be sent back. So the county knew last week at the presentation. They saw it a week before you all.
Yeah.
And they asked us and they asked us to come up with a program. Go ahead.
And it was our program that we worked. So the program that we were working on for the last about 3 or 4 weeks. And then when we got that, we kind of made some of the adjustments. So a lot of the things that you're seeing are things that we've sent before. There's just been a little bit more enhancement because we found out that we could do a little bit more than what it was. So no one got a leg up. There was not a lot of time, but all of this has happened all within, I guess, a little bit over 3 or 4 weeks that we've been doing.
So, Mr. President, my question would be this then. I know that some more rules did come down, but I would like for us to come back together as Montgomery Thrive, because we need to see if we need to if it's legally possible or compliant for us to possibly reallocate these funds, because this money can be spent before December 31st, for sure. But I think as a collaborative effort, and because we did this for such a long period of time, and we came together as Montgomery Thrive for the community and to show a unified front. And so we don't want to make a decision that I guess I need to go back. So the county is paying you for monitoring services?
Yes, for that opera program.
Okay,
But
for
this
their side.
program will be different.
Okay. So you're not monitoring on the city side, the city isn't, okay, all right. So that's, yeah, she's monitoring for the county side, and they are. So we ain't gonna worry about that. But, so the next question would be, if you could possibly coordinate, Frank and your team coordinate a Montgomery Thrive meeting, and that's the county and the city, and we come back and we look at how we want to, if we want to reallocate it to this program, or if we want to do it another route.
I think I would like if we would just coordinate from a city standpoint.
Okay.
Because that's what we're trying to get. I guess we just say, for lack of a better word, clawback from the money that we can use prior to this date that it need to be spent. So, I don't want, if Hope is giving the money back, we need to decide from a city council standpoint in the city where we want to go forward with our portion of the money.
And not worry about it.
Yeah, that's what we're at. So we can do that. So we'll get together, Frank, and set something up on how we go forward.
Mr. President, is there another, it's now the end of March. Is there another option on the table for how we would reallocate those funds?
I think the option is we need to do it as soon as possible, because we need to have it spent and on the streets to the people prior to, I would say, November. Or we send it back to Treasury.
If I could speak on the obligation rules from the Treasury. Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
funds were obligated under one particular project and purpose at December 31st, 2024. You cannot, you have to, if you're going to de-obligate and obligate to a new program per the rules, and they'll tell you, I'll send you a memo with the rule to follow. The reality is it has to be a program of a similar type.
Okay.
You can't make an arbitrary decision. So it has to be a program of the same type, kind of like the same parameters. So you can't take it and say, well, let's go fix the school. because that's not what you obligated the funds for at December 31st, 2024, that was reported to the Treasury.
Okay.
So they came out with what they call their final obligation.
Okay.
And we looked at that. And so part of our assessment as a city is that we looked at kind of what would be the best and kind of what that is, particularly within the time frame. And that's how you got to the program that's in front of you, because we did the research, we did that, and felt like this is the best practice and the best way to move forward. And so I'll forward the newest PowerPoint, but the edition that you got before is basically the same thing, just with a couple of expanded options that's helping businesses, that's more advantageous to businesses than it was before when we sent that to you last week.
And can we also, what Councilor Mitchell asked for, have that, so when we come to the meeting, we're already prepared with the original contract that Hope had and all the answers to the questions Councilor Mitchell had?
Sure, but we can send that contract to you. That's
okay.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, in our work session communication time, we have Mr. William Boyd on historical marker who wants to introduce in West Montgomery.
Good afternoon. I'm just going to read a resolution. I'm going to ask for support. Drafted up my own resolution. A resolution authorizing the placement of a historical marker commemorating the 1996 Centennial Olympic Torch Relay along the historical Voting Rights Trail. Whereas in 1996 marked the Centennial Olympic Game, an event of international significance that promote unity, peace, and human achievement. And whereas in 1996, the torch relay traversed over 15,000 miles across the United States, including a historical leg through the city of Montgomery, the birthplace of the civil rights movement. And where the torch route in Montgomery intentionally followed the path of the Selma to Montgomery National Historical Trail, which was officially established by Congress in 1996 to commemorate the 1965 Voting Rights March. And where the passage of the Olympic torch flame, along with this hollow route, served to link the global struggle for human rights with the local legacy of the foot soldier who marched for the right to vote. And whereas more than 30 years have passed since this momentous event qualified it for commemorative recognition under the guidelines of the Montgomery Historic Preservation Commission. I called and I spoke with everyone on the Historical Commission from the state from the county to the city, and they all stated this would be a nice commemoration to do for an event that took over 30-something years ago. So I'm asking, but y'all take this into consideration. You know, this would only highlight and bring a sense of pride to the Civil Rights Trail we happen to be in West Montgomery. You know, and I would like to see each light pole with the Olympic torch to light up that whole Civil Rights Trail with those people who carried that torch, name listed on some of those, on the torch itself. And I just think it's a significant event, and I wish that y'all take this in consideration.
All right, thank you, Mr. Boyd, for that presentation. You will lead that resolution, if you don't mind, with Ms. Blaylock for me, please. Thank you, sir. All right, next to speak to the council is D. Grissom for the March of Dimes.
My name is Dee Grisham. I'm with the March of Dimes here in Alabama. And if you didn't know, the U.S. is in a maternal and health crisis. 2 babies die each hour, 1 woman every 12 hours from pregnancy and childbirth complications. 1 in 10 babies are born too soon, and here in Alabama, it's 1 in 8. American women, American Indian women, and black women, that number is much, much worse. So the March of Dimes is trying to do something about that. We are raising money for education, advocacy, research, and support of the neonatal intensive care units. I'm here to talk to you about the Central Alabama March for Babies that will be held right here in Montgomery at the Baptist DeBoer Building on May 16th. This is open to the public, free to the public. It's a community-wide event for families. We come out and just celebrate the babies that may have been through the NICU and have survived, and mourn those that we had lost. We are here to ask for support from the city of Montgomery. We would ask that you would consider a $5,000 sponsorship in total to support the Central Alabama March for Babies. I have additional information in the folders that I will leave behind. It gives you some more information about the organization as a whole, as well as the Central Alabama March for Babies. And thank you so much for letting me come.
Thank you. Ms. Gibson, any questions?
No, I'd just like to thank you for everything that you do. As a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, we do support you all very much.
All right. Good plug.
Good plug. Another good one.
All right. Dr. Nick Bonner, Shannon, Phoenix Fire Incorporated. Hello. All right. Bradley Pemberton, Jacobs, 7 of Montgomery 12 video.
Good evening again, Council. I am not Bradley Pemberton, he's actually right here. But what we're here to discuss with you very briefly is the Selma to Montgomery Trail feasibility study and give you an update on the progress of that project. We have with us today Matt Hayes, he's with Alta Planning, who we hired to take us through this exercise, as well as Bradley Pemberton with Jacobs as part of our management team. And obviously, this project was supervised and managed by the pipe department. But we're thrilled to give you an update. And that update is that we're completed with this phase of the project, and instead of boring you with a whole bunch of drawings, guess what, Mr. President? We're going to provide you with a
video.
Amen, brother.
Thank you.
But I'd like for Bradley and Matt to come by for a second and give you that tidbit on the progress and what their role was in this project.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. Yeah, we're excited about the video, and Alta has done an incredible job so far, and I think there's a lot of good things coming, and a lot of good things will be seen throughout this trail, and I think it's a well-deserved thing that we need to be taking note of and moving forward with. So I don't want to speak too much. We've got a good video, and I wanted to pass it on to Matt.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate the opportunity to get to work on this project. It's been a dream project, and really focused on hearing from the community and diving deep and looking into the past stories and looking what Western Montgomery needs in the present. And this study really helps to address safety, economic development, and really excited about the video you're about to see, because that'll tell you everything you know. But I want to introduce Jarek Lewis, who is a key part of our engagement team, just to say a couple words before the video.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jarek Lewis, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I was fortunate enough to be a part of the engagement team, and being a part of that engagement team, I learned so much about the city of Montgomery. But more importantly, I learned so much about what community means to the west side of Montgomery. Just being to go around and interview people of the movement is moments that I would never forget. It's moments that I would cherish the rest of my life. Thank you all for hearing me. The engagement team, man, we really, truly appreciated this. It was a pleasure to engage with the people of Montgomery. Thank you.
Guided by the vision of Montgomery's leadership, the Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail Feasibility Study represents a collaborative effort uniting the city, its partners, and the people of West Montgomery. In 1965, thousands of people marched 53 miles from Selma to Montgomery in an historic demonstration for African American voting rights. This became one of the most defining moments of the civil rights movement. Now, 60 years later, the city of Montgomery, seeking to provide better access to this historic route, initiated a feasibility study to explore the enhancements along the city's portions of the trail. This effort documents the human stories from 1965 through 2025 and charts a path for improved transportation and economic development opportunities for West Montgomery. The feasibility study engaged the local community and analyzed existing conditions, forming a vision to improve a roadway corridor that carries the weight of history, and the hopes of generations. This corridor matters not only to the people who live beside it, but to millions around the world who see in it a symbol of courage, sacrifice, and the ongoing pursuit of justice. Throughout the study, one theme was consistent. The trail represents a vital opportunity for community and economic development while sharing the history of West Montgomery with residents and visitors.
Well, I think the first thing that we have to do as a people is unite. The people were united for a common cause. I think that there should be some kind of a marker, some kind of very clear path that one can follow. Even if you are a visitor to the city and you've come on the Civil Rights Trail to find out what is here in Montgomery, Alabama, I think you should be able to either walk, march, or bike along that trail, and it be clearly designated as such.
I would love to see on that trail just more and more organization, more and more renovation. I would love to see that trail come alive because that's where we started. On this side of the bridge, all the way down to the Capitol, I would love to see all of that come alive, and it will.
We'd like to see more people living there. We certainly like to see more businesses and retail there. We've got 70,000 cars that go up and down I-65 each and every day. So we view that as a tremendous growth opportunity economically for our city, and we think it would be a great way to help that community rebound from years of disinvestment.
The history, legacy, and future of the National Historic Trail hold deep meaning for the community. The study engaged leaders and residents of West Montgomery along the project corridor through dozens of meetings, conversations, and events. The project team met in churches, community centers, schools, businesses, and along sidewalks where stories were shared, ideas exchanged, and transportation needs identified. Today, the roadway corridor of the National Historic Trail is challenging to navigate for residents walking, cycling, or riding the bus, as well as for tourists who come to experience its history. There is little in the way of recognition of the historic march. Sidewalks are often disconnected and crosswalks lacking, forcing pedestrians to navigate 5 lanes of automobile traffic to cross a roadway. Speeding is also a persistent concern, creating unsafe conditions for all roadway users. Despite challenges, the corridor maintains a strong sense of community and energy. Tours of the National Historic Trail continue, and a growing community has created spaces for local artists to collaborate. The Equal Justice Initiative has invested in legacy sites near and along the trail, bringing hundreds of thousands of tourists to the area. The Holt Street Baptist Church has created a museum, and historic sites such as the City of St. Jude continue to provide support to the community. The National Park Service operates multiple visitor interpretive centers along the entire Selma to Montgomery corridor. The National Historic Trail is poised for a future worthy of its past.
Transportation is a bigger part of the story for me over in the West Side. So the thing about it is, why can't we have a bike trail where we're able to ride our bikes, show our children our parks, interact with our people, also take time and just reminisce on the life of how important this Selma to Montgomery March was for the history of the USA, not just for Montgomery.
60 years after the march, the 2025 Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail Feasibility Study identifies improvements for transportation safety, historic placemaking and preservation, and community economic opportunities. It charts a path forward for the city's portion of the National Historic Trail. The project team, under the leadership of the City of Montgomery's Planning, Inspections, Permitting, and Engineering, or PIPE team, included consultants at Alta Planning and Design, Hood Design, Jacobs Engineering, and the 650 Company. The team collaborated with community leaders to ensure that community voices were heard and incorporated in the study. Project partners at the National Park Service and Alabama Department of Transportation also provided support throughout the process. So, what could these changes look like? Let's look at just a part of the vision. Mobile Highway is envisioned as a roadway for all users that improves pedestrian safety and stimulates economic growth. The corridor comes to life with a shared use path, crosswalks, landscaping, and roundabouts to make the roadway safer and more inviting. 2x2 trees will line the trail along both Mobile Highway and Fairview Avenue with stones to commemorate the foot soldiers who walked in line 2x2. Along West Fairview Avenue, the trail continues to the intersection of Oak Street where it turns north. The improvements will enhance access to and safety of the upgraded Fairview Transit Center, City of St. Jude, and Carver High School with landscaping, pedestrian scale lighting, and crosswalks. Witness tree circles will serve as living monuments, commemorating the trees that stood as the march passed through. A shared use path with lighting and landscaping will traverse Fred D. Gray Avenue and Holt Street, roads that now pass underneath interstate bridges. Commemorative features like a memorial community wall and phone booth kiosks will provide an interactive interpretive experience to explore the history and ongoing legacy of the community. Tourists can visit Holt Street Baptist Church, the historic Rosa Parks home, and the E.D. Nixon Historic Site. Traffic calming features would enhance Mobile Street, providing safe passage for pedestrians and bicyclists connecting to 5 points, which includes the new elevation convening center and hotel. Redevelopment along Mobile Street and the Peacock Track bring new life to previously vacated land. A peanut-shaped roundabout at 5 points reduces motorist confusion and creates safer passage for pedestrians. But the work has only just begun. So what's next? The effort to bring the National Historic Trail Corridor to life is ongoing. In November 2025, the city received a Federal Lands Access Program grant award from the Federal Highway Administration to fully design portions of the National Historic Trail. The project team in the city will move the design forward to prime the project for future construction funding opportunities. But there is more work to be done.
Most of all, for people in Montgomery, we want to ensure that that voting rights trail that took place in Montgomery from the city of St. Jude to the state capitol is never forgotten nor minimized.
The time is now for federal, state, local, and private partners to come together to make this project a reality. Let's make this vision a reality.
So, Council, that concludes the feasibility portion of the project, and naturally we will be going into the implementation phase, and certain grants and other financing operations are in place now to start that process. So thank you for your time, and hopefully you enjoyed the video.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. Any questions before they leave?
Yes.
What was that? Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I want to thank you all so much for your work you put in when we started this project. It means so much, and we learned so much. We went places and met so many people that we knew but didn't know the history of what they put into our community. And I just want to thank you, because I know it's a lot of footage that we have, and you all are collaborating things to put it together, because just those unknown soldiers that was instrumental to what went on. I want to thank you all for taking the time and sitting on those porches, sitting in those churches, speaking and giving the love and letting them know that their stories did matter. And we're going to do the effort we can to make this change come about so we can see the West Side look like it used to look, the best side, and bring those little things that mean so much to us being able to get our community together and putting us back together and uniting it. And I just want to give y'all a big round of applause and thank you for taking the time to do this.
All right, thank you guys. All right, this concludes our work session We will recess and reconvene at 6 p.m.